Hey guys, welcome again to the Skolo Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. Okay, so I know it's been quite a while, but I always finish what I started. So we're going to continue where we left off. I think it's about 3 weeks now. Hey, it's been very busy. My apologies on my side. I do have a day job, so but we're gonna continue where we left off, and we are busy creating our business plan generating tool that is going to be working with artificial intelligence. So we're going to be using the OpenAI API to generate the business plan for us. And on the other side, we're going to be working with WhatsApp as an interface to get the information from people. So this is going to be one of those applications that has never been done before. I don't even know how this is going to turn out because I personally haven't done this before, but I thought this should be possible, right? So on one side, we've got the WhatsApp API. So if you've been following along, by now you should have your WhatsApp application done. We've already tested how to write messages, how to receive and get messages, and this morning I just quickly tested it, and here's the WhatsApp, and you can see it's working. We got it to the point where you could write a message and it would respond to you and just read the message that you sent. So if I write here and I say, how are you today? Sorry, how AEO, it doesn't matter. It just responds with a sends me back the same message that I sent it. Okay, so we know that our webhook is working, and then we know that we can send messages from our applications. We're still going to configure it to send exactly what we want it to send, but for now we just had to get that part sorted out. All right, so that's the first part of our application. Today, we're going to focus mostly on the OpenAI part of our application because this is the second part. We're going to build the pieces of this puzzle very, very nicely, right? So we've done the part where we now know our WhatsApp works. Now we're going to get to the part of generating the content because obviously we're going to be working with a client. Imagine this scenario. A client is going to come to our application. They're going to send us a WhatsApp and they're going to say, hi, I want to create a business plan. We're going to read whatever the message they're sending us, and then we're going to ask them questions like what kind of business plan you want to create, what business you want to create a plan for, and then they're going to give us what the prompts. We're going to give them the prompts, and then they're going to answer to us and give us the stuff that we want to know. Things like, we're going to ask them, what's your business name? What does your business do? Like very simple question that any person who wants to write a business plan will be able to answer, right? So we're not going to ask difficult questions like, give us your marketing strategy. That is what the AI is for. So we're going to use the AI to write those kind of things like a marketing strategy. But of course, what we're going to ask the client is something like, what product are you creating and to who's going to buy your product? Stuff like that. And then we're going to get that and put it into the AI and write a marketing strategy or whatever it is. At the end of the day, we're going to write that person a business plan. We're going to test this thing out. This is going to be really, really exciting. I'm excited about this project. I hope you are excited about this project because I'm going to build this thing and I want to put it out there in the market because I want to see if there's a need for people that want to create business plans and they just don't sort of know where to start. And what I'm going to demonstrate to you here in this tutorial, I'm using a business plan as an example, but you can then apply this to anything. I mean, I'm going to give you like maybe 10 different business ideas that you can create and launch a product right now that hasn't been launched before. Because imagine now you're using AI to create a business plan. You could do this to build a resume. You could do this to build a report, anything that is standardized that you can get input from clients and use AI to generate content. You can now get all of that via WhatsApp and you can build an application. So I'm teaching you a use case, but imagine you can expand this use case into anything, right? The first thing that comes to mind is resumes. I've come across so many people with terrible resumes, great experience, but they don't write their resume properly. Imagine if you could get a resume builder that uses AI and all you need to get from the people is, give me more about your experience, and then you write it for them nicely using AI and it's a perfect resume, right? So you could use this use case for you could use this sort of principles that I'm going to teach you here today and apply it to just about any type of document that anybody would want to create, and simplify things by having it accessible over WhatsApp as opposed to expecting people to go onto a website and have a laptop, because most people that are entrepreneurs and people that are doing business plans, maybe they don't even have laptops, but everybody's got WhatsApp, right? So let's get started. I'm going to try and get a structure towards this because obviously there's a reason why the tutorials are structured the way they are structured. We cover different parts of the application in different lectures. All right, so today's lecture is going to be focused mainly on the structure of the business plan itself. Now we're going to be working towards the content of the business plan and how we're going to use the OpenAI to actually generate that content. Because obviously, if I go to OpenAI right now and I say, write me a business plan for, I don't know, give me a name. Let's use my business name. Let's say Skolo Business Software, right? This is a business, right? And I come here and I could give it like 2,000 words, if I want. I think there's a lot more you can give it. And DaVinci obviously is one of the best ones. I know the prices have gone down, so we can really, really use this system. So imagine I came to OpenAI and I asked it to do something like this. And then I say, write me a business plan. And I just say submit over there. This is all it's going to give me, right? This is not a business plan. This is maybe like a paragraph. All right. So what we're going to have to give OpenAI is we're going to have to break down this business plan into its specific components. And we're going to have to get more information and we're going to have to give it a structure. So this is where the application comes in. This is why you couldn't just use a simple prompt to say, write me a business plan. This is why we have a whole Django application. If you look over here, I'm gonna go back to my Django application. We've got an entire Django application. We've got models. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to write our perfect business plan in a template. And then we're going to get that template and break it down into sections. And then we're going to take those sections and then break them down into manageable pieces that we can feed the AI so that it can give us what we want. All right. And like I'm saying, guys, I'm winging this as I go along. All right. This I haven't done before, and I'm not sure who has done this before, but you can tell me if you think there's a better approach to doing this. All right. So we're going to remove all of this and we're going to come back to the OpenAI. So let's do our planning. All right. And this is the part that most people never like and everybody always skips over this, but this is actually the most important part. All right. You have to understand, one of the most important things about building applications is the ability to conceptualize what you want to build, break it down so that you understand what you're doing. I get a lot of people that just want to, fast forward through my videos. A lot of them, just want to go down to where's the code and where's the GitHub link, and they just want to copy and paste. Nobody wants to take the time to go through the work and understand in your mind what exactly you are doing. What code are you writing and what is this code doing? Can you replicate this thing by yourself? And I'm trying to teach you the actual principles. All right, that's why I never share my code, because I actually want you to listen through the videos and understand what I'm doing, so that when you leave this tutorial and somebody says, okay, now write me an application that can do landing page website, that you can use the principles I've given you, right, about breaking down the data structures and figuring out how to feed the prompt to the AI, and take that and apply it to a different use case and still get a working product. Because if you take the principles that I teach you, you can apply them to anything. Because people who watch this video at the end, they'll say, okay, now do a video about this. But actually, if you've watched my video carefully, you would be able to do that yourself. Because if you just take the principles I've given you here, and understand exactly how I came to the solution that I came to, you could use the same principles and apply them to any other use case. So I might not cover every single use case of OpenAI in my tutorial, but I cover the principles deep enough for you to be able to apply them to any other use case. You understand what I'm saying? So the first important thing from my experience when it comes to trying to understand how to get OpenAI API to build something of a complex nature like a business plan or even a landing page, if you've seen my landing page tutorials, is that you need to take the final product and break it down into small pieces, right, that you can even build a data model around, right? So you can build a data model around, and then you're going to work with your data model, and then you're going to get the prompts to just do the different sections of the data model, so that at the end, when you put everything together, you end up with the final business plan. right? Because if you just say OpenAI, write me a business plan, it's just going to write you one paragraph of nothing. But if you take that business plan and you break it down into its sections, you can get the AI to write this section of the plan, that section of the plan, and then you put it all together into a coherent business plan. You understand? So I have done some little bit of research. I've gone online and I've just searched create the best business plan, and you can do that, and you can even go and just use this process to any other document that you want to create, any other complex document that you want to create. So I went there, I googled that, and there's a couple of things that came out. There's even sample business plans. I mean, I think if you go to Google page, you only need the top 3 or 5, which is what I did. I just browsed quickly through the top 3 or 5 business plan examples and sort of like guidelines that I could find. And the underlying common thread that comes through is that there is types of business plans. So when you want to do a business plan, there is a traditional type of a business plan, which is where you would just describe ideally what your business should achieve. And there's still a value for that. But nowadays, businesses are moving more towards lean, business management, or lean, what you call, like a lean startups, where, a business plan document in itself is quite useless. What you really need is, to do like to do like the MVP method, where you just like, you go and you create the easiest form of your concept, and you test it in the market, and then you sort of like, but I'm not going to go into the theory and I'm not going to go into the theory and the school of thought around business plans. I'm going to just focus on the traditional business plan. This is an old school business plan. If you go into a bank right now and you ask for a loan, they want to ask you for a business plan. That's the business plan that they want. So I'm going to focus this whole application on building that traditional business plan, even though people will argue that it's actually a useless document. That I'm not going to go into the theory of that. I'm going to focus on the traditional business plan, and then later on, perhaps if I really build this application like I'm planning to, what I will do is that later on I can have an option for a pitch deck as well, and then, which is the common thing that people are doing these days, is pitch decks. But a pitch deck and business plan is very, very similar. A pitch deck just has a slightly different structure, and perhaps I'll do a pitch deck as well, but it will just be the same principle, to be honest, right? But so let's focus on the traditional business plan. So after I researched all of that, okay, in a couple of minutes, then I went and I decided, okay, fine, we're going to do the traditional business plan. So what's required in a traditional business plan? Again, I went through a couple of templates and examples, and basically this is a structure of a traditional business plan. I've tried to put different, I looked at like the top 5 good examples, and then I just put everything together, and this is basically what I came up with, right? A traditional business plan is going to have a company description. That is the first part. In fact, before all of this, there's going to be what they call an executive summary, but I'm not going to worry about that, because we're going to do the executive summary at the end. If you've done this type of reports, you've gone through varsity, you have done, report writing, you know very well that you do not start with writing the executive summary. You start with the document, and then you write the executive summary at the end, because an executive summary should cover everything you've written in your document. And it should be like, if somebody doesn't want to read the whole document and they just read the executive summary, they should have all the information they need about the document. So what we'll do, even with our AI, we'll actually just like ask it to summarize everything in the executive summary. We'll try that, and if that doesn't work, maybe we'll use the same breakdown to write the executive summary. Okay, once we've done that, so that's why I had it out, but I'll just put it back here for now. All right. And then, so the first part of the document will be the company description. And in the company description, we'll talk about the business structure, the business description. What does your business do exactly? What industry you're operating in, a description of that industry, a little bit of background, how you came about to this business, and your high level objectives and what you're trying to achieve with this business. All right. Then after that, we'll talk a little bit about the team members. Who are the team members? Because people want to know very early on who's the jockey, who's going to be running this business, their names, their qualifications. We're going to cover that in the company description part of the business plan. Then the second part of the business plan is going to be this market analysis. Market analysis, we're going to discuss the market size and description. We're going to do a SWOT analysis, competitors in the industry, what differentiates you from the competition. This is what should be in a market analysis of a business plan, right? Then the third part is going to be products and services. Okay, we're going to discuss the details of exactly what it is you are supplying. Okay, what product or service are you supplying, and what is your target? Okay, and this target is okay. So then we need to then differentiate. Why would we want to discuss the target market here if we've got a market analysis at the top? Okay, so maybe we're just going to discuss the product details. What exactly is the product that you're supplying? Maybe we'll talk about product features a little bit. Okay, maybe it's the services. What is good about your services and things like that, right? And then we'll talk about the strategy, the marketing strategy. And this is slightly different from the market analysis. The market analysis just looks at the current market and market share that you could potentially get, and the strengths and weaknesses. Whereas the marketing strategy talks about, are you going to be doing digital marketing, whatever, you're going to go into, we're going to write a very, very detailed, a business plan that is fit to take to the bank, right? But we want to simplify this for the user. So we want to plan this data structure as efficiently as possible, so that the user only has to worry about just supplying very high level details, and then let our AI engine do the work in the background and deliver this document for them, right? And then we're going to be talking about the channels, the marketing plan, and all sorts of things in the strategy. And then finally, we've got second to final, we'll talk about the operations plan. The operations plan is sort of like the operations, the project management, how are you going to deliver this product? How are you going to make this? Who are your suppliers? For now, let's think about a physical product like techies or running shoes or something like that, all right? But we can also think about a service. So later on, we'll do a business plan for a service, because I want to make this versatile enough that it understands whether this is a service or a product, so that we simplify this really for the user. But we'll try both a product and a service. Let me just note that we'll start with something like, how are we going to call this? Kijima. I'm going to call this Kijima. Kijima means, it means running, okay, in Zulu, right? So we're going to call this Kijima trainers or shoes, all right? We're going to write a business plan for shoes. And then after that, finally, the financial plan. The financial plan is going to be a little bit more complicated, right? So I'm going to leave it out of this tutorial for today, because otherwise we're going to be here for 6 hours, okay? Because the financial plan requires you to do a full, cash flow statement. It requires for you to do like a balance sheet and financial projections, because remember, when you're doing a business plan, you don't actually have a business. You're just going to be projecting into the future, right? But that's okay, because we are going to create the financial plan for the user, for them, by asking them simple questions like, how many shoes you plan to sell and how much you're going to sell them for. Something as simple as that. And we're going to do we're going to use some ratios here and there, and we're going to do our very best to actually create financial projections for the user without even having them thinking too much. That's the whole point of what we're trying to achieve here, is that we want to make this really, really simple, and people can just come up here and, respond to a few questions, and in the background we use our templates and we use our best practices, industry norms, industry standards. For example, if a revenue is a certain amount and you're going to hire how many people, you can already have an idea about how the financials are going to look like, from based on how much you need to pay people, how much taxes are, and things like that. We're going to build those ratios in and create financial plans for people, but that will be the next step. Probably we'll do this next week. We'll think around that. This doesn't need AI, by the way. The financial plan part of the document, we will do based on, we know what a financial document must look like. We can ask very high level questions around sales and revenue that they should be getting. We can just ask, how many shoes do you think you'll sell and for how much? That already tells us about the revenue. We can ask very high level questions, how many people are you going to hire here and there, or maybe we can even use our ratios to determine that based on industry standards for we'll figure out how to do that. But what we'll do, that we will be able to try and estimate the number for the people, and later if they think they want to change here and there, we will give them the documents and they can edit how they want, but we'll at least give them a starting point, which is what most people don't even have, right? And then once we've done that, we'll then write this whole document for the client, and produce it in PDF format and email it to them, or send the link back to them on the WhatsApp and they can download it. I mean, we're gonna like do everything on WhatsApp, and you're gonna see this is gonna be quite amazing. All right, so I think I've talked quite a bit around the business plan structure. Okay, and then the last thing we're gonna do obviously is the executive summary. Okay, so my thinking process, let's think about this. If we go through all of these things we know need to be in the business plan, how much of this can we get the AI to generate, and how much of this do we really specifically need the user to give us, right? So and keep in mind that we want to get as little information as possible, not as little, but we want to get as much information as possible while making this a very simple thing for the user to do. So we don't want to ask them each and every single question. What is your business structure? What is your business description? What is your industry? What is your background information? What is your objectives? We don't want to ask them each and every single question. We want to ask them a question that a typical business person would know, like what is your business name and what does your business do? You understand? And then we infer from that and put it through the AI and write a business description. You understand? So we want to make this simple for the user, right? While writing the document with the right structure. So if I look at the first part here, all right, business structure. This business structure question talks about, have you registered a company? Have you not registered a company? What type of company have you registered? I think this is simple, and you should be able to ask a user this question and they should be able to answer you. So I'm going to say, first of all, the first question I want to ask the user here is, what is your business name? Okay. What is your business name? And I'm going to do it exactly like the way I'm going to ask it. Okay. This is exactly how we're going to ask it in the WhatsApp. What is your business name? When they give us the business name, that is what we're going to put in here. All right. And we're going to put it throughout the application. We need to know what the business name is. This is the most obvious thing. All right. So we need to know, have you registered the business? Yes or no? And what type of business have you registered? Right. But instead of asking it like that, I can actually ask it in one question and say, what type of business have you registered? Have you registered? What type of business have you registered? And ideally, I would like to give this options, right? For example, I would like to say, click 1 if you've registered a private business. Click option 2 if it's an NGO. You understand what I'm trying to say? Option 3. But I also want to make this a global application, because then if you're in the US, there are certain types of businesses, LLCs, also whatever. And if you're in South Africa, then we have different types of businesses, proprietorship. Depending on which country you're in, there are different types of businesses. And then I'll have 100 options for people to choose from, which will complicate everything. So I'm going to just go back to what type of legal business entity, right? Legal business entity. Right? Have you registered? Then I remove the options, because I think this will give the person enough prompt to understand what the kind of entity they've registered. They'll know, we have registered a PTY LTD, and over here we will say, enter none. Enter none if you have not registered a business. Right? That's also fine. At this point, you don't need to have registered a business. And if you haven't registered a business, then we don't say anything about the business entity. Maybe we even leave this out of the business plan. This is not even a huge thing, but I think it's important if somebody has registered a business, right? So that answers the business structure. Business description, industry. All right, let's see how do you get this information out of the user. um what does your business do? What does your business do? What, yeah, what does your business do? Or describe your business. No, what does your business do sounds much easier for people to understand. What does your business do? All right. And then from here, we will be able to infer the industry from what, if once they tell us what the business does. We don't even have to ask that question. And business objectives. We can also, ask probably a question around that. But I'm curious about the background information here. How long have you been in business for? Have you been in business? How long have you been in business? That will give us an idea of a bit of the background. Maybe you can answer there. We've been operating for the last 3 years, and we've been, yeah. All right. And so perhaps at this point you also want to ask something around, what is your traction? I don't want to ask the question traction because it might confuse a lot of people, but what has your business achieved? Yeah, business. I want to get more information around. I could be selling shoes, but I'm just starting out. I haven't even done anything. I haven't even designed shoes. I could be selling shoes and I've already sold 100 shoes and I already have a shop or I sell online. So I want to get a question that asks, I want to get that information from the user, but in a very simple question about what is your progress to date? Yes. What is your progress to date? Something like that. And we will expand on the question later on. Have you sold shoes already? Da, 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 da. And we can add more questions later on. All right. Obviously, I don't want to ask, I really don't want to ask more than 10 questions. But obviously, we have to get the right information, right? Otherwise, the business plan will be incomplete. I think after that, we've got all the things. The team, I'm going to ask about the team right at the end, all right? Because I want to focus on, so market size and market description. I want to ask a specific question around, who's your target market? I think this one we should be able to ask. Who's your target market? Who's your target market? Because we can then analyze the market size from that and the description. They can tell us who it is, and then we can sort of get AI to expand and write more data on that. We can even get the competitors once you tell us who your current target market is, because we can figure out what you're selling and who's already selling in that. We can get the AI to figure your competitors out. I think what's important is what differentiates you from the competition. That one you have to tell us, what differentiates you from your competitors. All right. This one is important because then we can write a little bit more about the differentiation, product detail and features. What are you selling? I think what does your business do is very, very important. And then here we need to know, what are you selling? What is your product or service? We're going to refine these questions later on because we will go through it, and if some of the questions don't make sense to us, we will figure it out. So what is your product or service? What is your business description? Describe your business. Describe your business, okay? And then what is your product or service? So that the questions sound a little bit different from each other. Then we can figure this out from AI as well. Marketing strategy, marketing plan, channels, we can figure that out. Suppliers, you know, unit costs and operations. So we need to have an idea of, and that this will also come through to, exactly. So it will come through in the financials as well, but that's important. And then when it comes to suppliers, and suppliers is only irrelevant if you're if you're producing products. If you're producing services, we're not talking about suppliers. We're talking about. So I don't want to be very specific with respect to suppliers. I want a more generic term that describes your inputs, your business inputs. So that if you were a service, it would also be a relevant question, whether you were a product or a service. Whether you were a doctor, you've got your input costs, your rent, your whatever. And if you were, selling shoes, you got your input costs, your raw materials and everything like that. So I want something a bit more generic, like what are your, what are your daily, costs and business inputs? All right. And then, yeah. So maybe let's say, what are your inputs, your business inputs? What do you need? What do you need to make your business but this is a bit too long of a question and a bit vague. I'm trying to simplify this for the user. How to ask this question. Okay, we'll get back to this. Let me think about this in the back of my head. Yeah, what are your operating costs? Yeah, what are your operating costs? And what are your operating costs? And then what are your operating costs? And an input. Yeah, let's just say, what are your operating costs? We'll see how we're gonna get to. Maybe we'll refine this later on. And then I said I don't want more than 10 questions for now. Okay. If we get more than 10, it's going to become tedious for the person. And maybe some of these things are really not necessary in the first draft business plan. Let's see. Maybe we can ask another question around what resources does your business need? All right. So, and then after that, then we'll ask the financials. All right. So we're going to ask these 10 questions, right? We're going to ask a person these 10 questions. And from asking a person these 10 questions, we should be able to get the AI to develop prompts to write this document, business plan, right? I don't know if this makes sense. I'm going to create a new blank note. Let's create a new note, and then I'm gonna call this note business plan. And then I'm gonna pretend I am the AI. I'm going into the AI manually, and I'm gonna design the prompts manually. And then I'm gonna try and see, just by these questions alone, right? And the answers to these questions, I wanna create these questions and their answers. And then I want to try and figure out, from these questions and their answers alone, can I develop this structure of a document? So let's start with the company description, which is the first part of our business plan. All right. So we're going to start with the company description. And let us see. So this should be, let's make it a heading 2. Let's see. So for the company description, we are gonna be asking the person, please, and I think I'm gonna do only the company description on camera, otherwise this video is gonna get too long. All right, I'm gonna do the company description section based on the questions that I've developed over here. I might refine some of the questions that go along. And then we're gonna try and see, can we write a business description? We haven't even gotten to the team, by the way. So the team is gonna come at the end, because this needs to be another section of the thing. All right. So over here we're gonna get to the team. In fact, we can even remove it for now, because the team and the financials, financial plan and team, we will do this at the end in a different set of, we'll do this later. All right. So business structure, business description, industry. Okay, so let's look at the questions. What is your business name? So let's say my business name, I said it was going to be Kijima Shoes. What type of legal business entity, or enter none if you haven't registered a business? I'm going to say I am a PTY Ltd. All right. I'm gonna say I've registered a PTY Ltd, which is a South African private company. If you have if you register a private company in South Africa, if it's not an NGO, it's not a partnership, it's not any other sort of more just a standard private company would be registered as a PTY Ltd. So most businesses are PTY Ltds while they are private. So I'm gonna say I have a PTY Ltd. Otherwise, I could have said none. Describe my business. We produce elite running shoes for men and women, which is what a normal person would say. We produce elite running shoes for men and women. What is your product or service? Running shoes. How long have you been in business? 1 year. What is your progress to date? We have not started. We have not sold any shoes yet, which is what most people would be, I assume. Who's your target market? My target market is health conscious men and women, gym bunnies, runners, and athletes, and elite athletes. All right, this is what typically somebody would answer. I'm trying to answer like a normal person. What differentiates you from your competitors? Our running shoes are streamlined and tested to improve running performance by up to 2%, something like that. Okay, my operating costs. Yeah, now this is, if you're a person, what would you say here? So this is not the right question, operating costs, because if I have to answer this, what would I say? What are my operating costs? I don't know. I have to buy raw materials. Okay, let me try and think about this. What are your operating costs? Daily operating costs, monthly. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Monthly, I have to pay employees. I have to buy raw materials for the shoes. I have to pay for warehouse to store the shoes. To store the stock, I have to pay for office rent. and yeah, I have to pay for office rent and you know, digital online costs such as the website, online store, whatever, etc. Cool. What resources does your business need? Yeah, so this question is not necessary. If I've already answered what are my monthly operating costs, I've pretty much covered what my resources are, right? So I'm going to just leave this blank, this question 10 blank, because it makes no sense to ask the same question after this. So now, streamlined, let's see. Streamlined. Okay, cool. Now you would have access to these questions. You've stored them somewhere in your database. You were asking them via WhatsApp. We are now simulating that somebody would have been answering this via WhatsApp. And let's try and figure out, based on these answers, can we generate this content, all right, on OpenAI? Let's just start with try and write a detailed company description, all right? All right. So business structure, over here you would say something like, I don't know. So let's go to the AI. Okay, so what we want to do is to generate, we want to generate a company description for a business plan. Okay, we want to generate company description section for a business plan for the following business using the guidelines provided. Okay, business name, we said is what? They would have given us our business name. Our business name is, let's go back here. Our business name is Kijima Shoes, right? So we're going to enter that as a prompt. Then after we've done that, we are going to say, that's the business name. The next part is business type. Actually, that's not important. Yeah, business type. Business type. And I think over here they would have either entered none or they would have entered whatever they've entered in here, and we're just going to give that response to the AI, all right, as they've entered it. So that's the business type. And then the guidelines are product and service, because we've already asked that question at this point. The product or service is running shoes. Okay, product or service is running shoes. Short description, we did ask what the business does, and the short description is this one. We produce short business description. All right, and then what else do we need to put in here? Yeah, that's all we've got. All right, how long have you been? Years in operation. Business years in operation. And I think they said 1 year. This will help us to write a background and a business background and all of that. What else have we got in here? Progress to date. We have not sold any shoes yet, right? So we're gonna go here and say progress. All right, we have not sold any shoes yet. All right, then the guidelines. So I have to guide the AI and give it some sort of instructions about how to write this company description, because I want it to write the company description in the same format every time. So I found that if you use the prompt for the OpenAI and you give it like a guideline prompt and you sort of instruct it how it must go around, sort of like, compiling all this information or summarizing all this information, combining it into the format and structure that you want, all right, that it actually helps to get a consistent response every time. So guidelines help a bit. It's something I've discovered in the last couple of months working with this API. So the guidelines I'm going to give it is, let's go and look at my document, how it's supposed to look like over here. Business structure. Okay, start by describing the business structure. All right, start the company by listing the business name and company structure, if one is provided. Right? Then once we've done that, then we say the business description. All right, and then expand on the business description provided, develop a professional, okay, let me not say develop professional, expand, okay, write a detailed business from the short description provided. Okay, from the short, okay, write a detailed business description from the short description provided in a professional business tone, because the audience okay, I'll write that later, in a professional business tone. Yeah, I think that's okay. Then once we've done that, then we say describe the industry, the business will be operating in. Describe the industry the business will be operating in. All right, and provide some and rewrite the business progress, to fit into, and rewrite the business progress to date. Rewrite the business progress to date. We'll rework this prompt. The point is I'm just trying to give you an idea of how to then prompt the AI to write the structure that you want, really. Okay, so we got background information, and then finally we want the business objective. All right, then we want to say finally list. I'd like to give it a number. The moment you give it a number, then it always provides you exactly what you want. So I would say list three suitable business objective for this business, and for each objective describe how the objective fits the business and how it will benefit the stakeholders in the long run. Okay, so this is the guidelines that I'm giving the AI, and I'm specifying this is guidelines. Then after guidelines, what I learned works even better is when you now start to do the writing. So you start the writing. So you say, okay, cool, company description. This is the title. And then you start to write, you give it at least the first sentence or something of the company description, all right? How would a company description go? Let me see. Do we have a template here? There was a template I looked at. Okay. So maybe you start with the company name, whatever the company name is, Kijima Shoes. All right. So the description is going to start like that. Kijima Shoes is, right? And then we're going to leave it there. And then we're going to give it 2000. We're going to leave the template at 0.7. We're going to use DaVinci. And then we're going to submit and let it write for us. No. Kijima Shoes. Nope, that's not it. That's not what I want. I don't like that. That's like, it's not really following my guidelines exactly the way I put it. Okay, let's just do it like this and then see what happens there. Okay, Kijima Shoes is a company that produces elite running shoes for both men and women. The company has been in operation for 1 year but has not sold any shoes as yet. The company is looking to change this by entering the market and becoming a well-known and respected running shoe brand. The company plans to enter the market by targeting elite runners who are looking for high-quality, durable product. The company's objective is to become leading shoes. Okay. So I think what I'm missing is the objectives part is not coming. Everything else is coming through properly, but I want this to list the objectives nicely, okay? So let's see. Finally, provide a list of provide a numbered list of 3 suitable business objectives, and for this business, and for each objective describe how the objective fits the business. All right, so let's try this again. Description, company description, let's go. You see, now finally it's writing the objectives in a list, and it does that what I wanted it to do. And so for the operating in the athletic footwear industry to date has been limited, and we have a clear vision of our company and are confident we can achieve this success in the future. Our 3 business objectives are as follow. All right, so I'm thinking here, Australia, do we want to, I think let's provide the country. I think that's the next question. That suddenly makes sense, right? So I think over here, country of operation, I think that's going to be very important. Otherwise, the API is going to sort of, sort of like give its own country. The last thing we want is for the business plan to come across as Australia when we clearly country of operation, country of origin, or let's just say country, South Africa. Okay, that's much better. Company description, let's try that again. No. Okay, this is let's try that again. No, why is it now listing? Company description, Kijima. I think I must always start with I must always give it this prompt, otherwise it's going to, there's a risk, as you can see now, that it starts to just list from the beginning, which I don't want. All right, Kijima shoes is okay. So you see, if you do it like this, it's always going to be specific. Okay, da 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 da. The company is going to break inside the market and become a leading producer of running shoes. Okay, that looks better. Kijima shoes. Let's try again. The thing is that if you want to know if your prompt is consistent, if you see what I'm doing, I'm going to like try it many times until I'm getting consistent answer. In terms of structure, that's the most important thing, because once you put this via the API and it's operating using the API, it's, you know, you gotta make sure that your prompt is consistent. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so I think I'm happy with this now. So I'm happy with this prompt. So once you know how this works, we've done this many times before. Once you're happy with the prompt, all you need to do is I can delete all of that, right? I can even remove that, refresh this page, because I want to get a clean prompt, paste it again. All right, and then I want to make this a 2000. All right, even 1000, but 2000 just to be on the safe side. And then I'm going to go into view code, and then I want the Python code. All right. Okay, so let's move on to our, this is, you've been following along with us. If you have been following along with us, you should already have a Django application that is already running, because this is where we are running our WhatsApp code from. We're going to use, of course, the same application. By now, we've already built the webhooks and sending WhatsApp messages. All of that is already done. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to now build the AI helper function, right? So we've got our functions.py file here, which have got the functions that are going to be running with the WhatsApp. We're going to create a new file. Okay, you can use the same file if you want, but I'm going to create a new file under our business application, and I'm going to call it AI file.py. Okay, AI file.py, and then I've opened a previous project over here, and I just want to copy the imports at the top. So I've copied those imports. You see, we're going to be using the operating system, the OS. We're going to import OpenAI, and for us to import OpenAI, it means we need to install the library. So let's just go over here and install the library. So let's move into our I think it's message. All right, and then this is our virtual server. This is where we're running our application from. You can see we've already got our environment activated, so we can just do pip install OpenAI. Okay, so it's gonna go and install the OpenAI library, which we will need to run the OpenAI functions. Okay, pandas, all sorts of things that it's going to be busy installing. So that's cool. So now all of this will work without an issue. Let's see what else. These are previous projects I'm copying from, so you don't always have to rethink and redesign from scratch, the prompts and everything. So I'm going to, obviously we need to create a function. So this function, if you remember our structure, and you go back here, what we're trying to build is a company description. So I'm going to call this function company description. And it's great that we're able to create a company description from just one prompt, which is not always going to be the case, right? But in some cases it will be. So there's some stuff we're going to enter, content, which we will give it. But what we need to do is then run the function, which is this function response OpenAI completion. So if you look at the OpenAI playground, the code that we got over there is this one here. All right. So we need to say OpenAI to OpenAI key over. Okay, we've already covered that. So we've already imported it, and then we've assigned the API key. You need to save your OpenAI API key inside of your settings file or somewhere. You can even have it, physically in this file if you want, but I've got it saved in the settings.py file. Please check our previous videos, especially the initial videos we did, how to obtain an API key from OpenAI. Is very, very simple. By now, I'm assuming you've got your API key because you're already running. If you're already running a playground, you have your API key. You can get it from your personal page over there. Just click there and look for the API key, and you can copy it from there, right? Then once you've done that, you can save it there, and then you need to refer to it. You need to initiate the OpenAI variable with a key like that, which is what they are doing here. This is what they are doing over there. Then once you've done that, then you can get your response. Okay, so in my case, I'm just going to copy this response as is like that. All right, and then I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to enter it in here. All right, then I'm going to, let me just so that this response can make sense. Remember, this response has got our prompt in it, the way we've entered, the prompt over there. So if you close that, this prompt is already sort of included in this, code that was generated with Python. You can see it's using the OpenAI library, which is the one you imported there, which has been initiated with the API key. So make sure you've done this already and that your API key works. All right. Then once you've done that, the model that we're using is DaVinci 002. We selected that from here. You can choose any other model. You can even try the different ones, but for text generation, I always use DaVinci. It's the most expensive one, but they've reduced the prices quite considerably now, so it's really not that bad. Okay, and obviously you're going to charge people for this application, and you can afford to use that one. And then this is our prompt. Okay, so let's think about this. Generate company description for a business using the following. All right, so you'll see over here up until where we've got the business name. This is where now the variables are going to be coming through. Business name is over here. All right, so this is the business name. So this Kijima shoes over here is the business name. So I'm going to actually remove it, and we're going to enter it programmatically. So the first variable is going to be the business name. All right, so over here at the front, we need to enter the business name. Let's use a snake case this time for variables. All right, so that's the business name, and then the business type. Let's do that. Business type. I want to try this. If I said none here, okay, I just want to see what would happen. Okay, Kijima shoes, and I said none, and I made that 2000. Let's submit. So this is again not giving me the right description. It's not giving me the list that I wanted to give me. Let's try this again. There you go. This is better. So from the look of things, it looks like we might want to, get more than one description at a time. Perhaps what we'll do is that we will, maybe have 2 business plan options that we give the people. Because if, for example, you never know what the AI is going to return. Like I didn't change anything, and this time it returned it the way I wanted with a list of objectives and everything. And the first time it only gave me a half paragraph. So sometimes I think maybe we need to find a way to build in what they call what is it, the best of 2 or something like that, so that it can give you, let's see if we say the best of 2, what happens with that. All right, because sometimes you do want to I think it costs you more if you do that, ask for the best of 2. but let me do it that way and see what happens. Where is it? All right, and let's see at the code. If you view the code and the best of, you just replace that to 2 over here. It takes a bit longer. Let's get the code. Top P is equals to 1. And then after top P is equals to 1 over here, before frequency penalty, you can add this best of 2. All right, because I think it gives us much better flexibility that way. Okay, cool. So we've got the business. So even if you had none as a business type, even none as type as a string, none, it would be okay. So if people haven't registered a business, it will be none over there. The country, right, is the next one. So the next one over here will be the country. All right. After the country, we will have running shoes, product or service, running shoes, short business description, okay, short description, description. All right, what's the next one? Country. Oh no, before short description we need this product or service. Okay, so product service comes before short description. Product or service. Right, product service short description, and then years in operation. Okay, years in operation. All right, I'm just gonna call it years. Progress to date. All right, progress. No, call this progress. What else? Let me look at my list over here. It's business name, the type, the country. So it's a business name, the type, the country, the product or service, the short description, product service, the short description, the number of years, a short description, years, and then business progress to date. Okay, those are the only variables. The description will always be the same, and then at the end of the description over here we start with obviously at the end of the description there we started with the company name. All right, so we're gonna have to enter that at the end. So we're gonna do dot format all these variables and business name at the end. Okay, dot format we need to enter the business name again. Business name. All right, then once you've done that, then you've got the max tokens, the temperature, and all sorts of the other things that you're gonna do with your response. Then we're gonna do this via the AI, and then we're gonna get choices, and then I'm just gonna replace this because I've gone through this many times in the past. How I've gotten to this is to 1 2 3 4. Then we can paste the choices. So what this does, it just passes the answer to get the text and replace all the new lines with okay, so here it replaces the new lines with nothing, but ideally we want to replace the new lines with breaks. We want to replace new lines with breaks. Oh yeah, we want to replace the new lines with breaks for now. Okay, but I want to display this in the the command line, so I'm just going to leave it without replacing anything. Just leave the new lines as this and return the answer. Okay, so I'm going to test this on actual Python. I'm going to now run this prompt on Python, and test that it gives me what it gives me there, but on Python instead. All right, so we've copied the whole function over there. We've copied our prompt as it is, and I'm going to save this. And I'm going to push this function, and then I'm going to try and run this function on the command line. I'm going to run it on the shell manually. I would need to enter all of these to run this thing manually, by the way. So actually I don't need to enter them here. I could just enter them in the shell where I'm running it. So let me remove that. So let me save this and push these changes. Okay, let's clear here and then run this thing on the command line. All right, so we're gonna do our git. All right, so I'm gonna do shell manage.py shell. What this does is that it allows you to run a Python shell, all right, command line, a Python shell inside of you in the context of your Django application, so you can access models and all those things, the settings inside of the Django context, right? So now when you're inside of the Django context, for example, you can now import from business.ai file, import everything in here. So you can say from business.ai file like that, import everything, right? So it's going to go, business is this name of the folder, because remember when you run the shell, you're going to start from the root of your application. So business is the name of the folder. Inside of this folder, I want to import this AI file. Understand? So this AI file is every function that's going to be in this, so I can run these functions manually, right? So these are the things I need to run. Right? Let's start with the business name. We're going to give it a different name. Let's not call it Kijima this time. Let's call it business name. Let's call it drip shoes. All right, and then business type, I want to keep most of the stuff the same. All right, so what business type did we have here before? None. Okay, so let's just do none. Okay, business type, country, South Africa. Let's call, let's say Nigeria for interest sake. Product service, let's call this gym shoes, walking shoes, all right. Short description, let's say beautiful. We create classic and beautiful walking shoes for men and women. All right, short description, years. We've been in operation for, I don't know, 6 months. Because somebody might put 6 months even though you say years. Progress to date, none. I'm just gonna say none like this, assuming somebody will say none over there, right? Cool. Then we're gonna run this whole function and it should return us an answer. Okay, I'm gonna copy that, paste that as it is in there and enter and see what it gives us. Best of 2. So it's gonna take quite a bit to do all of that. OpenAI is a bit slow, but there we go. Right. Is a Nigerian, so it didn't start by entering the whatever the business name. So we must remember to insert that at the beginning, right? So the answer that we give it over here should be the business name, like this. It should be the business name plus answer, because then it will start by saying whatever that business name was, because you can see in the response that it gives us, it starts with an empty space. This is what the business name should have been. So we should say business name plus answer, and that is going to be the answer. All right. So in this specific case, the business name would have been Drip Shoes. So it would have started by saying, Drip Shoes is a Nigerian company that specializes in walking shoes for both men and women. The company has been in operation for 6 months and has made no progress to date. Oh no, we don't want to say that. No progress. Okay, let's rework that prompt. This is not the best prompt. Okay, progress to date. Let's see. Years in operation, business progress to date. I think if it's none, we should take this prompt out completely. But how would we do that? Because we don't want it to say has made no progress to date. That's terrible. So we want to include the progress if it's there. If it's none, we want to exclude it completely. So that it shouldn't, we don't want it to say the business has made no progress to date. Okay, cool. Then the company plans to achieve this by operating in the Nigerian market and by offering a wide range of working shoes that are suitable for all occasions. The company's ultimate goal is to become the leading provider of working shoes in Nigeria and to provide its customers with the best possible experience. In order to achieve this, the company has 3 objectives: to become a leading provider of working shoes in Nigeria, to provide its customers with the best possible experience, to create a sustainable business model that will allow the company to grow and expand in the future. This is already a whole lot of value you've given the person, from just him telling you, the client just entering, I'm just doing working shoes, Drip in Nigeria. Already this business model is already starting to take shape. Okay, but I'm gonna find a way to say, if there's no progress, I think we're gonna need to have another function, right? I'm gonna copy this function, which is gonna look exactly the same, but I'm gonna call it company description with progress. So I'll call this one with progress. Okay, and then this one will have no progress. If progress is none, we should do this, and then we should remove the part where it says progress to date. Business progress to date, just remove this whole thing. All right, and then we don't say anything about progress, because otherwise it looks weird to say progress none. Okay, then we will be able to do like a conditional check if a person has entered progress, or if they've entered none. Then if they've entered none, we rather use this second prompt that doesn't say anything about progress if the progress is none. Okay, then I think I'm happy with this one, right? So now if we go back, I'm going to delete everything over here and go back to our planning document. Remember what I talked about, planning the business structure. We've just written this part of the business plan. So now we need to go and do the market analysis, all right? And the product and services, the marketing strategy, the operations plan. And I'm not going to do this on camera because it's going to take forever, right? But I've shown you how to do this for company description. What I want you to do now, this is your homework. Go and design a prompt that will write a decent market analysis, market size, market description, SWOT analysis, competitors, and so forth, based on the information that the user has provided us. If you feel like there's something specific the user needs to have provided that we haven't asked for, then you can expand this list of questions. Okay, now I don't know how to get this thing to you guys. I think I'm going to put it in the description of the video. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste this in the description of the video so that you can see already what I've already asked and you can expand on this. Okay, so this is a learning channel. Use this to learn try and write the market analysis, try and write the products and services, the marketing strategy. And then once we've done that, what I want the next time we come back to continue is that you have written prompts for all of these other things. So now this is the prompt for the company description. You're going to have another prompt for market analysis, for example. All right, so we're going to call it DF market analysis. Okay, and then for market analysis, you're going to figure out what you need to input. All right, so obviously for market analysis, we need to talk about, where are we now? Business plan document. All right, we need to talk about, we need to get it to, we need to get the AI to talk about the market size and market description. All right, we need to get the AI to give us a SWOT analysis. We need to get the AI to give us the current competitors and everything else. And I'm not going to do it on camera, by the way. I'm giving you homework to go do, because I'm going to build this application for myself. And some of this is going to be proprietary, how I get the AI to do the stuff. But I've shown you how to do it. So go and do it. Then what we're going to do next week when we continue is that we're going to break these things down into the data model. So now already we're going to create a model. So this is the next thing that we need to do now. And actually I can help you do this, or I can show you how to do this now before we leave. So inside of your business application, you need to go into models. All right. We're going to create two models. We need to create two models. The first model we're going to create, okay, we're going to create two models. Right, the first model we're going to create, model number one, is going to be like a user profile model, which we're going to use to track the different users. All right, the second model that we're going to create is going to be we're going to call it a business plan model. Okay, the user profile model will be used to keep track of the users on the system. So when someone comes in for the first time as a user, we are going to like save their information, their phone number, everything, and create a user profile for them. And then we're going to have the user profile. The next time they come in, provided they use like the same, we're going to be able to use the phone number to track the user profile. Then the next time they come in, we'll be able to check the phone number, and then we'll know who they are, and we can always relate everything to the user profile. The next model we're going to create is the business plan model. This business plan will have a related field to the user profile. It means every time a profile creates a business plan, we will associate that business plan with the profile, so that when they come back, you know, they can like find a business plan they created last month or whatever, last week, you know, and things like that, right? So for now, maybe let me create the user profile model with you, okay? Because I think, let me help you with that one, so that we don't create models that are too different. All right, so let's go back to our documentation. I've got a lot of all of this in documentation. So inside of the Django documentation, if you look under models, Django models, okay, and then you look at the basic model structure, okay, so let me see typical imports at the top. These are the kind of things I need to import. User, you always use. User and Slugify, I always use. Not you will, but I always, sort of use those things. Time zone and UUID and reverse. Okay, I'm not going to use reverse this time, but I will use UUID and time zone. Which means I need to import time zone. So let's exit out of this. And let's clear that, and let's import pip install UUID, like that, and then you'll be able to use UUID 4. All right, that's okay. Then JSON OS, almost always use it. Okay, I just remembered something that I had forgotten to do. This AI file, remember I had, because I was printing on the thing, then I wanted to just print the raw answer. What I actually want to return is to replace the new lines with the breaks, because I'm going to save this inside as an HTML inside of the text field. And then I want to be able to, like, when I display, or actually, let's not replace the new lines. Should we? Yeah, let's replace the new lines with the breaks. Okay, let's replace the new lines with the breaks like that. Okay, and return business name plus answer, and then so forth, so forth. Okay, so let's delete this in case we forget to remove this. Our whole thing is gonna error out and we won't understand why. Okay, so that's good. So let's look at our models. We need to have a profile model. This is the user profile model that gets created for every user on the system. The moment the user starts to engage with us, we're going to create for them a user profile model. It's going to be very, very simple what the user profile model has. Okay, so let's like copy this part. Okay, the name of the model, what we're going to call it is user profile. Okay, and the user profile, we're gonna have we're gonna have mostly the information that comes from the WhatsApp. We don't need them to give us their name and surnames and stuff like that, you know, but we need to create a user. And a user usually takes in a first name and last name, but that's not required fields. Let me just think. I'm just thinking out loud. Email is very, very important, so we need to get an email address from the user, and then we need to get a username and a password, right? So that will be the user model. So we'll use definitely the user model to create a user, and then we're gonna need a related field with the user over here. So in fact, we can even use a one-on-one field. We can use a one-on-one field between user profile and actually, can't we just call it profile? Let's try that. Okay, so the user, let's see, let's just look at Django. Django 1-to-1 field, that's the one we want to use. One-to-one relationship, where is it? Dish. One-to-one field, there you go. So you're gonna say models one-to-one field, all right, like that, and then it's one-to-one with the user, and then you need to specify obviously on delete, and if it's a primary key, but that's not important. All right, so on delete it must cascade, which means that and this obviously is not nullable, not blankable, because every profile must have a user associated with it. And if you delete that user, what the cascade does is that if you delete that user, then the profile is going to be deleted as well, which makes sense. And if you delete the profile, the user is going to be deleted. It's like one-on-one relationship. Okay, which means, you know, for every user there's one profile. It's the best way to do this kind of this arrangement. And then after that, then we will need a, let me see, we will need a phone number. All right, let's have a look at our WhatsApp views, specifically the information that gets returned from every message. Okay, we will need a phone number because every time we send them a message from their profile, we're going to need to, you know, confirm what their phone number is, because this is what we'll be using to send the WhatsApp to. We will need a phone ID. All right, I think a profile name, I'm not too concerned about that, because people change profile names all the time and we really don't need it. All right, WhatsApp ID, I think that's important. WhatsApp ID, yeah. So we got the WhatsApp ID. Let's see. Actually, we don't need all of these. We need just the phone number. Maybe the phone ID. That's it. We need to relate that to the user, the phone number, and the phone ID. That's all we need. And all of these can be character fields, okay? So let's look at our character fields over there. So they can all be character fields like this. Right, character fields, you need to specify the maximum length. It will never be more than 200. In fact, it will never be more than 100. But I will just, yeah, it will never be more than 100. Even the phone ID, but I'll leave the phone ID at 200. Okay, so this is all you need to specify for the profile: the user, the phone number, the phone ID. Okay, there's other things we'll specify later on. subscriptions, for example, if we're going to create subscriptions and people can like subscribe, but I think I'm not going to work on a subscription model. I'm going to work on a pay-as-you-go model, which means if and when you want to create a business profile, we create it at that time and you pay immediately. It's going to be on a pay-as-you-go basis. All right, so we're going to do it like that. And then let's see our models. We normally have the unique ID, date created, last created. I use this is just my utility variables. I use this all the time. It just helps to organize my models. The unique ID just helps. It helps me to identify and the unique is true for this one, but you don't have to say. I mean, you can say that, but it's not necessary. I don't usually do that. But if you do say unique is equals to true, it will prevent from more than one unique ID, but it will be covered anyway. When you come to unique is equals to true under the slug, because the slug requires a unique ID, so it will be covered there anyway, right? But you can say unique is equals to true. Actually, let's just do that. And we don't need a slug in this specific case for the profile. So I'm going to get rid of the slug. This is what I normally use for my web applications, but it's not necessary for this WhatsApp one, because we're never gonna we're never gonna need a slug. But the unique ID blank, it's nullable, it's blankable, and it must be unique. Okay, that's important. Then date created, last updated. Okay, then over here when we save it, we override the save function to update the last updated, right? So that's one of the reasons why we override it. It means every time you save, you update the last updated, so that it's always like keeping track of the last time you updated this. The slug we can get rid of because we're not going to have a slug. But what this does is that the first time you save this, so date created will be none. So the first time you save this, date created will be none. So it will then assign the current time to the date created. And then the unique ID will also be none the first time you save this, and then it will create a new unique ID. And then the next time you save it, it will not be none. So these ones will not run every time. They will only run the first time the model is created. And then, but what will run every time is the last updated. So every time you save, it will update the last updated. So you'll always know when a change was made on the last time a change was made on the profile. It's just something I like to add on to my model. It's not required. But I've done it for so long. It's a habit, and I build all my models like that because it just helps me organize my data better. So this is now the profile model. What I want you to create then is we'll call it we said what? Business model. No, business plan model. Business plan like this. Okay, so this will be a business plan model. All right, what you need to know about the business plan model is that it will have a related field related to the profile. Okay, it's not going to be one-on-one in this case. It will be a foreign key. Okay, so a foreign key is like where is our models? Yeah, where's a foreign key? So this is what a foreign key is like. This is the model, the thing for a foreign key. So it will have a foreign key to the profile, all right? And this will be the profile, not the user. It will not be nullable and blankable, because for every business plan you must specify what the profile is, and this must also cascade. All right, which means that if you delete the profile, all the business plans associated with that profile must be deleted. If someone wants to delete their data from our system, for example, this will handle data protection, laws and things like that. Someone decides, okay, fine, I want to delete my profile from your database, and they delete their profile. Each and every single business plan that was associated with that profile will also be deleted. So that's what Cascade does. It also helps to manage a relationship, so you don't end up with like what you call often data that's not related to anything, but it's just sitting in a database taking up space. right? So it will be related to a profile. We don't need to have it related to a user again, because the profile is one-on-one with the user. Okay. Then what else? Yeah, that's it. That's the foreign key. Then we can create the models that are specific to this. I mean, the variables that are specific to this model, which the first one I've already told you guys was the business description. Is the one we just created here. So this business description that's going to be returned here will be saved under that variable for the business plan. So we'll call it company description, like that. So this will be the company description. Okay, let's use snail case, company description. I mean snake case, not camel case. Company description will be a text field. So let's see what our text, a one-to-one float field, dish image. There's a text field over here, and it is nullable and blankable, which means somebody can save the model without saving the description. That's okay. They can always update it later. So the first part is the company description. So now what you can do as your homework as well is to complete the rest of the model. Obviously, you've seen, I'm going to put this in the description, or you know what we need. We need the market analysis, the product services, market strategy, operations plan, financial plan, and so forth. So just add all of those to the business plan model, okay? Then just from the top of my head, I think the team members can also just be a variable in here, another text area. We can use breaks and stuff in there, and then we can have there's something that the financials. So the business financials will be a different class, I think. Okay, so this will be like a financial model. All right, the financial model will be a different class, right? It will be one-on-one with profile, because it's always good to do that, which means you can then identify the financial models, the profile, the profiles associated with, the financial models associated with the profile without going through the business plan. But then this must always have a business plan. It must always have a business plan related field, okay, foreign key. So it must always have this foreign key. But that foreign key is related, is this business plan foreign key. See that? So it's this business plan foreign key there. So which means that when you specify a financial model, you must also specify the business plan. Every financial model is going to be related. In fact, this can be one-on-one. Because when I have more than one financial model for one business plan, are you? No. So this can actually be one-on-one. So let's do the one-on-one instead of what we're trying to do here. The business plan will be one-on-one with the financial model. So let's copy that, because each business plan will have just one financial model, and then it will be related to a profile, which means actually then we don't have to. We don't need this if it's one-on-one with a model. And then we can even use with one-on-ones, we can even use signals later on, that when you create a business plan, the model is created automatically because it's one-on-one with that, and then it's going to have its other variables in there. Okay, so your homework is to other variables, and obviously other variables in here as well. Then when you're done, next week when we meet up, I will have completed this part, which is your homework for the week. Maybe it's a homework for 2 weeks, and you would have created all the other prompts all the other prompts for all the different sections of the business plan. I think there's like 5 more sections. We created this one. I think that was the most difficult section. These other ones are going to be easier, and once we figure this out, you'll be able to figure it better. Use a playground. Play around with your prompt until you're happy that your prompt is giving you a consistent answer. The most important thing is to get a consistent answer when you're working with the API. You don't want it to give you a list one day and the next time it gives you a short paragraph, the other time it gives you a long paragraph. It means your prompt is not specific enough, all right? So you want your prompt to guide the AI well enough that the AI knows every time exactly what kind of answer you're looking for, so that it gets a consistent answer every time. And then once you got that consistent answer for that section of the business plan, then you go over here and you view the code, and then you copy that code from there, and then you paste it in here, and then you add this section. Obviously, this just passes the answer, just passes the response. But this response is exactly what I copied and pasted from over here, from the code that I get from there. And then I just figured out which are the variables I need to manually enter into the prompt, and then those are going to be the variables you must define when you define that function. Okay, I think I've talked a lot for one day. I'm going to end it here because the video is getting long now. But now, just go through what we've done today, do your homework. Next week we'll finalize this API section, which means we'll have all our prompts figured out and our models figured out, and then we can even write the function for doing everything at once. Okay, without including the WhatsApp functionality. Just write one function that delivers everything, in the database, whether it takes a minute or 5 minutes. And then once we've done that, then we figured out that that function works. We know what the input into that function is. Then we're going to start connecting all of that with the WhatsApp part, where we are now asking the questions and getting this input. So this input here is going to be coming from our WhatsApp questions that we're going to be asking the users, and they're going to be giving us answers. And as they give us answers, we record those answers, which we then put into the OpenAI. So this is like starting to come together now, hey? Starting to come together. So maybe 2 more tutorials and we'll be done with this, hey? Thank you guys for watching. This was quite interesting. I hope you're learning a lot. If you're learning a lot, please leave me a comment in the description. Let me know what you think. And so we'll see you guys again maybe next week or the week after. Do that homework and then we'll catch up.